Hey guys, Ken here from the Retro Toy Escapades channel in Malaysia. On the channel today, I'm checking out the original He-Man from Super 7's special vintage figure release in 2019. Super 7 did a bunch of these vintage style Masters of the Universe figures in 2018. These were made to be just like the figures that you had in the 80s, but with revised sculpting and paint apps. They didn't get very far though before the line was scrapped, but they did put out a nice range of figures that is worth tracking down and somewhat fairly easy to complete. Now, this particular version of He-Man was re-released in a nice collector-friendly, retro-styled Japanese window box package together with Skeletor. This was a really popular option with a lot of collectors who maybe only wanted the main hero and villain in the series. The top of the package reminds you that this release is for ages 14 and above, even though it looks like the He-Man that you played with as a kid 40 years ago. At the bottom, you see the manufacturer's stamp, March 2019. Man, you guys remember March 2019? It was a different world back then, and just a year before everything plunged into chaos. The box is soaked in some really great painted artwork all around, which differentiates it from the vintage figures that were also being released by Super 7 on the standard cards at the same time. Now, these boxes did cost a bit more than the regular figures because of the premium packaging, but you gotta admit there's something very nice about seeing He-Man action figures that are placed within an easy to open box. What do you guys think? Now, out of the box, it might surprise you to discover just how casually the figure is placed in there, and with quite a fair amount of wasted cardboard space. There's only one twisty tie that's holding him up, and the accessories are all placed in a small bag at his feet. There's no interior plastic tray that has the accessories individually arranged for display, and you might be expecting a little bit more, okay, for something that's a collector's edition release like this, but presentation probably wasn't the main direction here. Okay, the face sculpt is good. It's very Filmation inspired, but I'm not really sure if this is the heroic expression that most fans are used to or would want to see. I mean, he looks mostly displeased, like someone forgot the sugar in his coffee or something like that. Now, this figure features vintage style articulation, so the head will not look up or down, but it does turn smoothly from side to side. You do get movement at the shoulders, arms move up and down, but don't expect anything fancy like a bicep swivel, an elbow bend, or even a wrist turn, okay? If you've been playing with Origins figures for far too long, this might take some getting used to. It's great to see the Power Punch feature brought back again for this release. He-Man can take a pretty strong swing at you, and the operation of this classic feature works just as well as it did back then. If you like, you can also use his slapping hand, to lay the smack down. Who wants some? The straps on the back of the chest armor are designed to attach the same way as the vintage figure, but these are a lot less fragile. If you've been trying to find vintage, loose He-Man figures in the secondary market, you probably already know that finding them with their straps intact and unbroken can be the hardest challenge. Now, they did improve the articulation in the legs by removing the rubber ties from the vintage figure and putting on some very tight joints in there instead. This is a very much welcome change, and you can now pose a vintage style He-Man figure much more confidently on your display without having to worry about him toppling over too easily. Accessories, check. He comes with the half sword, just like the vintage figure did. This also has the somewhat fragile hilt on the handle, which would always break off on the old ones. Then he gets the full power sword as well, which the vintage figure never had. Now, this is a much appreciated addition, and although it's common to see power sword accessories with the new Origins figures today, back in 2019, it was still pretty fresh. The shield accessory that he comes with is a nice upgrade to the vintage one, with a maroon color revision on the interior of the shield instead of orange. This thing also splits apart just like the vintage one did, although there's really no reason for it to, unless you wanted to have it break apart in a battle scenario. Once you get the weapons on him, you might feel yourself blasted by a wave of nostalgia, seeing He-Man all decked out and ready for combat on a new but vintage 80s style body. While I do appreciate the power sword being included, why couldn't we get the battle axe as well in this package? Why did it have to be a case of either this or that? I mean, was it too complicated to get the battle axe sculpted? Now let's try out the power punch feature with the weapons attached, shall we? Let's go. Shit. Okay. Okay, there you go. Yeah, much better. Now here's the Super 7 Vintage He-Man next to Mattel's Vintage 80s Triclops to give you a size comparison. As you can see, these go along very well with a vintage collection display as well, right? And stay down. And here he is standing alongside the vintage He-Man from 1982. Just look at these guys side by side like this. You do see the differences as well in the paint that's on the chest armor and arm bracelets. But you have to admit, these guys pair together really well. Now here's a comparison with the new Origins He-Man figure that comes with the vintage style head. Now the Origins figure does seem to tower a bit over the rest, but that's only because of the added articulation in the legs, which allows for the figure to be posed straighter while standing up. If you notice between the three figures as well, the Origins figure also has the smallest chest. Now, a year and a half after this figure came out, Mattel officially started rolling out their Origins line of figures, and the rest is the future that we now know it to be. I do wonder how things might have turned out if Super 7 had continued the line. They definitely would have been putting out a lot of really nice looking figures, but nothing that would be anywhere near the level of exposure that Origins enjoyed for its first half year or so. Guys, if you enjoyed the video and want to see more, I hope you consider supporting the channel by joining up as a member, or you can also consider donating to the production cost of the video by using the Super Thanks feature that YouTube has now enabled for the channel. Members will also get access to special additional bonus content and perks. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys again real soon with more content right here.